Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. It's a Canadian game. Brought to you by Molson Canadian.
It's March 4th, 1967, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are preparing for an important late-season meeting with the Chicago Blackhawks at Maple Leaf Gardens. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. The Hawks are led by Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita, and Kenny Warham. The Leafs are the over-the-hill gang with 40-year-olds George Armstrong, Tim Hortons, and Alan Stanley. Hello once again, everyone. I'm Joe Bowen, and welcome to another edition of Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics here on Leafs TV. Tonight, back to March of 1967, as the Leafs are making a late-season rush to secure a playoff spot. And this may, in fact, be a playoff preview. The Blackhawks arrive at the Gardens, leading the NHL standings with 77 points in 56 games. The Leafs are currently third, 4 points back of second-place New York. The Blackhawks have scored a league-leading 209 goals and allowed a league-best 132 against. It may, in fact, be the best team ever assembled to this point for the Madhouse on Madison Street. The presidents of the Pike Palaces tonight are Dennis DeJordy, splitting time with Glenn Hall this year. The other half of the old folks home and goal for Toronto as Terry Sawchuk gets the call with John Bauer on the bench. Because it's March 4th, 1967, the Leafs and Blackhawks. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. The high-scoring Blackhawks will celebrate 52 times with Bobby Hull this season. Brother Dennis will have 25 goals, while Stan Mikita will chip in with 35. The Leafs scoring spread around with only Ron Ellis with 22 and Jim Pappen with 21, hitting the 20-goal plateau. Hard Rock defenseman Marcel Pronovost graduated the National Hockey League and the Detroit Red Wings after starring for his hometown junior team across the river in Windsor, the Spitfires. Pronovost would be an important part of 4 Stanley Cup championships by the Red Wings in the 50s. He would then come to Toronto as part of a blockbuster trade May 20th, 1965. Odd Erickson, Larry Jeffrey, Eddie Joyal, and Lowell McDonald would join Pronovost in Toronto, while Billy Harris, Gary Jarrett, and Andy Bathgate would become Red Wings. Pronovost would play 5 seasons in Toronto and be an integral part of the 1967 Stanley Cup champions. And Marcel Pronovost joins us this evening to take you back to March 4th, 1967. I've already let the cat out of the bag. You guys win the Stanley Cup this year. Congratulations. But in March and February, Stanley Cup win for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year was probably the furthest thing from almost anyone's mind, because you went through a stretch there where you couldn't win for losing.
Yeah, but then Imlach took sick and King took the bench, and we had started by winning 3 with Imlach, and then we went 9 more with Clancy. That assured us of a playoff spot, and we were working for second, but we finished third.
Now, when you arrive from Detroit after all of the success you've had as a Detroit Red Wing, you arrive not as a green-eared kid just looking to make the lineup. You are arriving here with what Punch has done through the 60s, find veteran help and leadership at key points.
That's right. This is what he told me when I joined the Leafs. He says, I'm not going to teach you anything, but he says, I want your leadership, and I want you to work for me on the ice, and I want you to bring out, like, the younger guys, you know, like, so I said, that's fine. That's the only way I ever got by.
A month previous to this, Terry Sawchuk records an unheard of 99th shutout. Here's a guy that built a lot of them with you playing in front of him in Detroit. But tell us a little bit about Yuki.
Well, Sawchuk was 216 pounds when he played junior at 17 years old. And he was like a cat. And he even took his pads and beat some of the forwards and some of us defensemen up and down the ice, because we did a lot of skating in those days. And Adam didn't like it when Sawchuk got a couple of pounds too heavy. And then he's the only goaltender to have won 8 straight games in the American League and 8 straight games in the National League. And after he got sick with mono, he was traded to Boston, and then he got sick in Boston. his weight went down from 210, 212, down to 178, soaked and wet. And he never regained it. But he was just as quick, but his arms started to give him trouble.
He had an elbow problem and chips inside the... He was not able to straighten
It
the
was
arm.
locked. It was locked. And he's the only goaltender that saves with his elbow. That's a fact.
Because he couldn't move it.
You know, if you wanted to get Terry mad, like when he gave it to me, and I'd go like this, he'd bring his head to the comb.
Because he couldn't move his
He couldn't
elbow.
move his elbow.
Was it a painful injury? Was it something that bothered him that way, or was it just a nuisance because he could not unlock it, kind of
It
thing?
was a nuisance, really, but he never complained. Never. Like when he got his hand cut here in Toronto, skating across it, he never complained.
John Bauer in practice hated having goals scored on him. I mean, he would dig that thing out of the net as fast as it went in, and that was his style. He worked tirelessly in practice.
Okay.
Terry had a little, by this time, 1967 anyway, had a little different philosophy.
Well, Terry was bearing down when he had to. When he saw Big Frank coming down the ice and winding up, he'd skate out of the net. Frank would get pissed off.
Well, when you think about it, still playing with just that flimsy little mask that he had and the goaltending equipment in a practice, the old adage, do you want me to be good now or do you want me to be good in a game?
You know, you're talking about how hard the shots came as it progressed. Bobby Hall had a shot just as hard as they have today, and he didn't have the composite that they have. I stopped one time on the shin guards, and my shin guards were about this thick. I had actually heavy-duty defenseman's shin guards, and I packed them with cotton, and it broke the shin guards and made a neg on my leg the size of your fist. And then I stopped another one in the pit of my stomach here. The imprint of the puck laid there. You couldn't read Hard Ross because it was on the front.
But having said that, here's Terry Sawchuk and the goaltenders wearing felt on their arms and a chest protector that was barely able to keep you from being cut.
Well, the one thing that Tommy Naylor really improved the goaltender's lot, because he had a lot of improvement brought into the equipment.
Well, I know I grew up in that era, and I know the stuff that I wore playing goal, I just wasn't nearly as good as Terry Sawchuk or Johnny Bauer, so that's why I'm here talking instead of in the Hall of Fame.
You're hurting.
Yeah, that's right, I'm still bruised. Marcel Pronover is our guest. We're going to take him back to March 4th, 1967. He's now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs after being dealt from the Red Wings to Toronto, and we're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
All set to start the first period. Dan Makita, number 21 at center right. Doug Moens, number 11 on the left side. Warham on the right. Talat and Doug Jarrett on the defense. Keon with Conacher and Armstrong. Hillman, Marcel Pronovo. From the face-off, Keon for Conacher. Conacher a backhand into the Chicago zone, and Jarrett has it. Got by Talat. Talat then gets it out. Keon. Pronovo over to Armstrong. A backhand right on to Jordy. Dan Makita. Armstrong intercepted, took his shot. Garrett around on the board, stopped by Hillman. Keon with one goal in the corner. Conacher kept it in. Talat. For Moan. Dump pass for Warham. Warham races after it. Pronovo touches it. That's icing. Face-off is in the Chicago zone to the left. Makita, Moens, and Warham. Kelly, Ellis, and Mahavlich. All set to go. Puck is dropped. Mahavlich gets it back to Bond. There's his shot right on. The Jordy stopped that. Back for Makita. He's over the line. Knocked off stride, and Kelly comes back with Ellis and Mahavlich. Pass for Mahavlich. Tried to center it. Salat. Off the board. Horton moves up with a backhand. The Jordy stopped it behind the net. Over here for Warham. Stopped by Mahavlich. Kelly. Then to Mahavlich. Mahavlich coming from the side. Right in front of Horton. This with his shot. Kelly. Check. Garrett. Covered by Mahavlich. Mose goes after it, and Bond covered him, and it was flicked into the crowd. Jankowski, Pulford, and Tappan facing Esposito, Bobby Hull, and Eric Nestorenko. Van Imp around on the boards for Hull at the blue line. Tappan checks him. It comes out to Pulford. Pulford takes his shot. Rebound to Staples, and Stapleton gets it right in front of the net. Jankowski scores!
Toronto goal scored by number 12, Stemkowski. Unassisted. Time 1:52.
Yeah, he made the check. On the face-off, it's Ed Van Imp over to Pat Stapleton. Stapleton up for Dennis Hull, stopped by Hillman to Armstrong, back for Hillman at center ice. It's deflected into the Chicago zone. Pat Stapleton after it, covered by Keon. Keon watches Stapleton, is trying to get it out. A long pass for Hayes, and it's called back offside. All set for the face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. The puck slides over to Kenny Hodge, number 14. He gets it up the center. Pronovo shot it back. Ed Van Imp, number 2, to Pat Stapleton, number 12. Where Dennis Hull intercepted by Armstrong. He's closing in. There's the shot, and he shot it high. Pronovo lets one go. It hits Bill Hay coming down the ice over the line. A pass to Dennis Hull, and he shot it by Ken Hodge. Pronovo carrying around on the boards. Dennis Hull moves up with a shot, and Sawchuk covered up. Face-off will be in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Stemkowski with Pulford and Tappan facing Esposito, Nestorenko, and Bobby Hull. Romney draws cleared by Tappan down the ice. It won't go to the red line. Palat picks it up. Poked it by Stemkowski to Nestorenko. Up to Esposito. To Bobby Hull over the line. Hull takes his shot way wide. Stanley to Pulford. Back to Stanley. Off the board for Tappan. To Stanley. Stanley is set. Here comes Esposito with Bobby Hull. They're closing in. Esposito is dumped by Horton. Centered it out in front of Pulford has it. He just shoots it down the ice. Right on the net. Garrett back for it. Stemkowski stepped into him. Centered it right in front. Tappan missed it. Pulford after it. Back to Horton. There's his shot. Jarrett stopped it with his stick. Jarrett gets it down the ice by Horton over the red line, and that'll be icing. Face-off is in the Chicago zone. It comes back to Marcel Pronovo's shot. That's wide. Larry Hillman moves up. Tried to center it. Mike Walton does. Moon tries to get out. Makita feeds Moons on the left side. Stopped by Hillman. Walton had to hit him. Makita was checked. Walton hit by Van Imp. Warham over to Stapleton. Stapleton out over the blue line. A long pass for Makita. Makita getting into the clear. Goes to the corner. Tried to center it. Pronovo covered him. Hillman to Ellis. Over the blue line. Right in front of the net. Comes back to Pronovo at the blue line. There's his shot. It's right in front. Went over Walton's stick. Mahavlich tried to get a drive away, and it goes to the corner. Warham is hit by Mahavlich. Puck goes loose to Ellis. He cleared into the corner. Van Imp, covered by Walton, who digs it out. Tried to center it for Ellis, and it's Stan Makita coming back. Up over the line with Warham. Makita waits. Got it by Moans. He centered it, and it comes all the way to Walton. Walton and Mahavlich. Takes the pass over the line. Back for Walton. Centered it. And Makita was checked by Walton. Stan Makita again in his own zone. Over to Moon. Up to Van Imp. Stopped by Conacher. Conacher getting the chance. Closing in. He shoots and he's shot wide. Keon for Conacher. He just failed to reach it. Van Imp. For Hodge. Stopped by Horton. Out at center. Goes back into the Blackhawks zone. Jarrett with it. Garrett covered by Keon. Pierre Palat coming out. Up for Dennis Hall. Ran into Horton and Vaughn goes back. At center, Armstrong picks it up. There's his shot. Oh, deflected off Hay, but wide of the net. Pierre Palat over on the wing to Dennis Hall. He's stopped by Vaughn. Keon shot it back into the Chicago zone. Jarrett on the wing for Dennis Hall. Up for Hay, drinking with his glove. Play is called. Face-off is inside the Chicago blue line. Esposito and Stemkowski who missed the check. Stemkowski with it. Centered it. Hooker tried to get a shot. Right from the check. Another try by Hillman. And it goes up into the crowd. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone to the left. Esposito with Nestorenko and Bobby Hull facing Stemkowski with Fulford, Shack, Hillman, Pronovo. Fulford tried to center it. Esposito picks it up. Coming out over the blue line to center. Stopped by Hillman. Bobby Hull winds up now at center. A long shot is wide. He was hit by Stemkowski. Fulford with Shack. Shack just deflects from Hull. Fulford goes over the blue line. Takes his shot. DeJordy caught it. Here Palat. Up for Jarrett. Ahead to Esposito to Bobby Hull. Got it over the line and Hillman shot it out. Jarrett takes a long shot. Sawchuk stopped it. Cleared it for Fulford. Fulford shot it down the ice. Kelly races after it and Stapleton gets there. Around to Bobby Hull. Jack up into him. Now over the blue line. Hillman carrying it back to Pronovo. Up for Kelly. For Fulford over the line, and it's Stapleton with a number 12. to Nestorenko. Back to Palat. Nestorenko over the line, intercepted by Mahavlich. Mahavlich trying to get away and couldn't. Marcel Pronovo to Hillman. Flipped it over the line. Palat has lost his stick. Ellis moves up, and he was checked in the shot out over the blue line. Horton back to Stanley. To Mahavlich. Mahavlich to Kelly. Over the line. They're closing in. Right for Mahavlich. Too far. Back for Hull at center right. Over the line. Covered by Horton. They took him into the board. Stanley with Mahavlich. A long shot. Wide. Ellis the rebound. Takes his shot. Hit the side of the net. Sam Mikita to Nestorenko, stopped by Mahavlich. Nestorenko trying to get loose. Ellis over the line. It's poked to Kelly. Kelly shoots. And the Geordie stopped that. Back for Nestorenko. To Esposito and Dennis Hull. Horton covered him. Gets it out in front. Van Impe moves up. Got it to the corner. Esposito trying to center it, and Nestorenko gets it. Then Mahavlich to Stanley. To Kelly. Up at center. He ran into Van Impe, and that's where he stopped. Stapleton to Dennis Hull. Over the line. Big shot. Hit Stanley. Grabbed him. There's going to be a penalty here to the Leafs. To Alan Stanley. Play is called. Face-off is in the Leaf zone. Stanley for holding at 9:57. Hawks playing every man up. Mikita, Warham, Moans, Palat, and Bobby Hull. It's Keon Armstrong, Marcel Pronovo, and Larry Hillman as it's shot down the ice. Bobby Hull goes back for it, number 9. Over to Doug Moans. Back to Bobby Hull. To the blue line, stopped by Armstrong. Armstrong then to Keon. Keon waits. Armstrong knocked it back, and Moans gets it. Doug Moans behind the net. Over for Bobby Hull to Warham to Palat. Covered by Keon. And Mikita. At center ice. With Palat stopped and is knocked back to center. Warham waits to Bobby Hull. A long shot wide. Warham after it. And Keon is there. Keon just golfs it down the ice. Bobby Hull back for it. Coming up the center. To the Leaf line. There's the shot wide. Sawchuk off the boards. Warham took a shot from the side. Just failed to put it in the net. Kick to Mikita. Back to Warham. Out in front to Palat. Takes the shot. It hit Fulford. Bobby Hull's shot, and that was deflected into the corner, and Ellis gets it. Ellis cleared it out to center ice. Fulford covered Palat. Moans. To Mikita. Over to Warham. Back to Palat. Horton took him in on the board. Warham to Moans. Back to Mikita. To Palat. Right on the Ellis's stick. Now then, Stanley is on the ice. Ellis over the line. There's his shot, and a hard drive was caught by the Geordie. Mikita behind Moans to Bobby Hull. Shot it into the corner. Horton back. Horton to Papin. Up for Walt. Failed to get away from Mikita. Stan Mikita takes a long shot into the corner. Stopped by Sawchuk. Gives it to Mahavlich. Mahavlich winds up. Up the center. There's his shot off the board. Goes after his own rebound. Given a shove. Cleared around to the blue line. Hillman kept it in. Stapleton into Van Imp. Off the board. It's kept in by Walton to Mahavlich. Mahavlich centered it. Walton couldn't get to it. Hodge clears it, but not out. Hillman keeping it in to Pappen. Back to Pappen from Mahavlich. He couldn't get his shot away. Back for Hodge and Stapleton. Over the line. Stapleton's shot was stopped by Hillman. Hillman for Walton. Up at center. Over the line. Back to Pappen. Pappen shoots and he missed the corner. Bill Hay at center ice. To Hodge. Stopped by Sawchuk. Bob Pulford for Jim Pappen to Mike Walton. A long shot is wide. Shack is up there. Gets the puck loose. Now Dennis Hull comes back for Chicago. Missed Pronovo. Missed Hillman. Over the line for Hay and Hillman, who bumped together. Came in front of the net. Hillman clearing it to Pronovo. Up for Pulford too far. Picked off by Palat. To Hay. Dennis Hull on his left, number 10. He just elects to shoot it in the Leaf zone. Pronovo for Pulford. It got away from him. Here Palat. Over to Bobby Hull. Here's the shot. Oh, he shot wide. Palat is checked by Pulford, who lost his stick. Stankowski with one man back. Over to Shack. They're closing in. Shack shoots. Right in front again. He missed the rebound. Bobby Hull couldn't get away. Pulford. Pass knocked down by Nestorenko for Esposito. Bobby Hull moves up with a shot. That's wide. Esposito. Back to Palat. There's his shot. It's wide. Right out in front, and Horton stops it. Up for Stankowski. Over for Shack. Over the line. Back to Stankowski. He took from behind, and there was no play. Esposito comes back. Over the line. Esposito getting ready for his shot. And it was rolled wide of the corner. Comes back to Palat. There's his shot. It hit Stanley. Here's another try. And he shot it into the corner. Horton, Stankowski, and Horton shoots it down the ice, and it's Jarrett going back for it. And what kind of action you're seeing here in this first period. I don't think there's been more than 8 whistles. Esposito knocked it into the Leaf zone. Bond shot it out. Here Palat moves up. Over to Esposito. And he was covered by Hillman. Bond gets it off the boards down the ice. Hull stepped into Bond. Jarrett could have made a play on it. Play goes on. Jarrett kicks it loose. Palat shooting it around on the boards for Bobby Hull. Cruising in his own zone. No further than his own blue line. Conacher shot the puck into the Chicago zone, and it's Nestorenko back for it. Nestorenko, a pass to Pierre Palat to Bobby Hull. Over the blue line. Stopped by Conacher. Going in alone. Right in on goal. Right in front for Keon. Keon couldn't get his shot. Cleared off the board. Vaughn let one go. Right out in front of the net. Here's Armstrong with his shot. Conacher lets one go, and the Jordy stopped that. Comes out over the blue line. Makita and Bobby Hull over the line. Makita shoots, and he shot 10 feet wide. Armstrong ahead to Conacher. To Keon. Got it over the line and no further. Moans coming back with a pass for Makita. Stopped by Bond to Keon to Ellis. Stopped by Stapleton to Doug Moans. Kelly to Mahavlich is out there. Mahavlich over the line. Closing in with Kelly. Kelly trying to get it in front. Moans covered by Kelly. And they hold it for a face-off.
Pete Stankowski has scored the only goal so far in this game in the first period, his 7th of the year unassisted early on to give the Maple Leafs a 1-0 lead at 1:52 of the first period. Marcel Pronovo working in front of Terry Sawchuk, and something that you became rather accustomed to as a teammate of his, not only in Toronto but in Detroit Marcel, Terry, and in biographies and in a lot of things, may be one of the most misunderstood individuals I think that we hear about in talking to other players who were teammates of him. There's a side to him that was obviously very pressure-filled and maybe a little darker, and then there is the side of him as a teammate that maybe a lot of people don't know about. And what was he like as far as you and as a teammate?
Well, I knew Terry very well, but the first half of his career when I was with Detroit, I came up a little bit later than he did, and in the organization, and I played with Terry in Windsor. So Terry is not the same person. Like the game face that he carries it. It's just that he didn't want to be bothered with people wanting his autograph and tapping him on the back. He says, they're the same people that are going to kick me tomorrow. You know, so he was leery of that. But he had a heart of gold. And as a father of 7 children, you know that he didn't dislike children.
No.
So the one time, the most flagrant thing that happened, it happened right here in Toronto, when the glass was shorter and the kid was standing up and we were killing the penalty, and I fired the puck, and I still see it in my nightmare. The kid's nose exploded like a tomato, and they fixed him, and after the game they brought him into our room to meet Sawchuk and that, and Terry looked at me, and then he walked over to the game stick and he grabbed the stick and gave it to the kid, and he turned to me, he says, don't you tell anybody, you son of a gun. And, you know, he was like that all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, playing goal in that era, when there were really 6 jobs, and if you had a couple of bad games, you were gone, had to be incredibly stressful, especially when you're talking about playing at times when Terry started without a mask and everything else. I mean, it takes a very special person to do that, and yet your nerves have got to be frayed at times, and you've got to be a little snarly, I would think.
Well, I'd like to say this. If we had a couple bad games, everybody thought that they might be sent down. But nobody was going to send you down if you were Sawchuk or Glenn Hall or Jacques Plante or Pronovo or Gatsby. Nobody's going to send you down, you know. But we didn't. This is the threat they had over your head. But Sawchuk had a life that was very, very stressful. Naturally, going back, he had an older brother that passed away, and that affected him. And then things in their families affected him, and then he left home at 16 years old, and this is all because of the background. It's very, very tough.
And yet, and I'll ask you this, was he the best goaltender that you personally either played with or against? Where would he list?
Number one, there's no doubt about that. Like if you saw him when he was 216, he could touch nearly his elbows up to the ice, and the crouch, he would go right down, and you couldn't beat him anywhere. You couldn't beat him along the ice, you couldn't beat him up high, and like I said before, he's the only good goaltender that made saves with his elbow because he had a bad elbow, and he was operated on for that elbow many, many, many times, and he never complained about it. And the only thing, we used to kid him when he got my bender up, I used to go like this. He'd get pissed off because that's the way he combed his hair. He brought his head to the comb, not the comb to his head.
Well, and at least he had some at that point. It hadn't all been blown off by Bobby Hull's shots. At any rate, right now, the Maple Leafs have a 1-0 lead over the Chicago Blackhawks. Pete Stemkowski has the goal. Let's go back upstairs to the gondola for more of the first period.
All set for the face-off in the Chicago zone. The puck is dropped. Kelly and Stapleton went to the boards. Kelly kicks it loose. Ellis ran into Makita. Ellis then lost it to Makita, who gets it to Doug Moans. Moans out over the blue line with Warham. A pass for Warham, and Warham just barely get into the clear as he juggled it. Ellis coming out. Falls. Makita to Warham. Over the blue line. Warham back to Makita. There's his shot. Sawchuk stops and Bones a drive. And that went behind Sawchuk and out the other side. Here's a chance for Warham and Bones again. Stopped by Sawchuk. Cleared down the ice. And it's Stapleton with a number 12. To Van Imp. Over for Hay, back for Warham, and he tips it into the Leaf zone. Stanley. To Horton, to Kelly. Kelly is covered. Hay, a long pass for Hodge. Hodge covered by Stanley. He took it away from him. Stanley to Pulford, off the board. Kept in by Palat. Goes loose. Stanley kicking at it. Pulford moves in there and plays the ball.
Play in this period.
All set for the face-off, and from the draw, Pulford in the corner. Backhands at the opposite side. Jim Pappen. For Peter Stemkowski off the stick. Goes to Marcel Pronovo, up to Peter Stemkowski. Pronovo to Pulford. Over the line, outside. On the face-off, Dennis Hull and Stemkowski bump together. And Pappen held against the boards, and Stemkowski leaves the ice. Hello, Canada hockey fans in the United States. Bill Hewitt and Brian McFarland here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. The Leafs are leading 1-0, 26 seconds remaining in the very fast first period of hockey. That's Bill Hay, number 8, hit by Hillman. Dennis Hull over the line, covered by Marcel Pronovo, knocked him down, and this has been the kind of hockey game that it's been. They've been hitting hard and often, but they've been really flying. Here's a chance for Pappen into the corner. Watched by Jarrett. Bob Pulford centered it right in front of the net. Kelly gets set. He hit the goal post. Pulford trying to center it. There goes the bell, and the first period is over. The score at the end of the first period. Toronto Maple Leafs 1, Chicago Blackhawks 0.
Well, the Grand Old Lady on Lake Ontario has gone through a centenary, and so we take you back now to 1967 to show you a little bit of what Toronto looked like.
The Ontario Provincial Project is under construction in Toronto. An unusual museum to house the story of the country's science and technology. In Toronto, the Centennial Proposal is a center for the performing arts. Commenting on this changing province is Premier John Robarts.
In Ontario, we cherish history. We preserve and mark historic sites as the first milestone of progress, but we do not live in the past. Our highways, our skyscrapers, our industry, our schools testify to that. We head into 1967 with the promise of even greater things to come. And on this first centennial, we look forward to the challenge of the future, secure in our achievements of the past.
Everywhere, Ontario is opening up new vistas. Stretching out. Providing huge recreation areas in the northern lakelands that stretch mile after mile along Huron and Superior to the great inland ports of the lakehead. And the lake and forest country of the great Canadian Shield. fulfilling the promise of beauty and new resources for a growing nation. Centennial Canada, a profile of the nation on the occasion of our 100th birthday.
Ontario. And next week, a look at another of our provinces. We'll be back with the second half of our intermission in just a moment.
In the first period, 1-0 Toronto. Pete Stemkowski has the goal. Ward Cornell is standing by with a special intermission feature on Dave Keon.
A few weeks back, Brian McFarland had a chance to talk to former NHL goalkeeper Wilf Cube. Here's an excerpt from that interview and some interesting words on Dave Keon.
I remember Davey when he played with us up north, and I'm very proud of him. He was a stick boy, and stick boys are like the caddies that make the pros. And a lot of stuff rubs off on these kids that they use to good advantage. Now, in Davey's case, I always thought that Davey was a one-way player, very much like Maurice Richard, that took the big break and went in and scored goals. And I saw him playing for Father Bauer here, and I still thought I never said anything at the time, I still thought he had this habit. Now, we know to be a pro, you must work both ways. The house, there's only one player that got away with it that never back-checked, and that was Richard, but he was a category of his own. So, when Emlich got a hold of this kid, he saw something, and he gave the boy ice time, which is essential. A rookie can't produce if he's jittery and his coach is jittery too and pulls him on the first error, because everybody makes mistakes. And Emlich saw something in this kid. He saw a nugget. And he gave this boy the ice time and told Davey, now, you're going to make mistakes, but you're my boy, sort of thing. But he says, you got to check. And today, Davey is one of the best forecheckers in the league. Hence, he's a star. Thank Punch Emlich.
And with us now, Dave Keon. And Dave, would you say that's how your checking developed?
Well, Ward, I think a lot of what he says is very true, but possibly he says he saw me play when I was playing at St. Michael's, and I was basically the same then as I was when I left Noranda. But I think that the father and Bob Golden were the biggest single factors in changing me. Possibly it didn't show then because it took a little while. But then when I came to Toronto, as he said, Punch gave me the chance to play. He gave me the opportunity, and I killed penalties and got an awful lot of ice time, and consequently I was able to develop a little more quicker than I otherwise would have. I'd have, as he said, been pulled off every time I made a mistake, and Punch bore with me, and I was fortunate to get the ice time.
Mm-hmm. Dave, a lot of people are comparing young Mike Walton to you, except perhaps when it comes to checking. Now, is this a kind of a thing that could happen to Mike? Did he become a checker?
Oh, I think Michael can. There's no question in my mind that Michael can check, because when he played at St. Michael's and he played for Marlies, Jim Gregory coached, and Jim Gregory follows basically almost the same philosophy as Father Bauer about developing hockey players. And it's just that Michael is the last three teams that Michael has played with, he hasn't had to really check. They've been good offensive teams. They've had the puck, shall we say, 70 or 80% of the time. So when you have the puck that often, you have it most of the time, so you don't really have to worry about going to get it. But on our team here in Toronto, we are not as good offensively as some of the other teams, but we check, and consequently, I think that as he progresses, he will start working at it a little more, and I think there's no question. I think that everything will come out for him.
Dave, you mentioned the team isn't really an offensive team. This year there isn't a leaf at the 20-goal mark, which is very unusual with 15 games to go. Do you think there's any particular reason?
No, I don't think really, Ward, outside of 5 or 6 or 7 hockey players, there's that many players at the 20-goal mark. Canadians don't have a player at the 20-goal mark, true. So they're usually a high-scoring team.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the buzzer. Now, I know you want to get back, Dave, and the way the team's going tonight, they look like they could go to the Stanley Cup.
Well, we'll just play one period at a time.
Thanks, Dave, for being with us. In a moment, we'll return to Bill Hewitt, Brian McFarland, play-by-play of the second period.
1-0 Toronto on a goal by Peter Stemkowski. Dave Keon, the featured guest there during our first period intermission. Marcel, this is a tremendous player. And we've had people, and Jimmy Pappin was one, who came along and said, if the Leafs had not gotten Dave Keon in the 60s, they would not won any of the 4 Stanley Cups that they had. That maybe he was the one guy that they could not have done without.
I believe that. I believe that very, very truthfully. His skating was just unbelievable. And for a little guy like that, he was everywhere. And he played defensively, he played offensively, created opportunities, and when the chips were down, he came back and played very, very well defensively. Check the living lights out of the best centers.
Now, in the dressing room, what was he like as an individual and as a person?
Well, Dave didn't say much. He said more when we were having a little party, and
that's allowed.
It's true. It's allowed to 3 days off.
Exactly.
And well, he was kind of quiet in a sense that he didn't want to blow his own petard. You know, we were all members of hockey club, and we're just regular guys.
He wins the Conn Smythe later on this year when the Leafs win the Stanley Cup, and it was appropriate.
Oh, it was very, very well deserved because he checked everything to a standstill in Montreal, and he did to Chicago. He nullified Nikita, and you know, he couldn't do a better job.
And although Terry Sawchuk and Johnny Bauer are integral parts of the win with their goaltending, again, Keon's ability to play both ends of the ice is the key.
It's the key not only for that series, but for every series that he played before, because he was the guy that was instrumental in every playoffs in the difference.
Now, as an opponent and in a Red Wing uniform years earlier, would your coach, Sid Abel, say, keep an eye on this guy, watch him, he's too quick, don't let him get behind you, that sort of stuff?
Sid didn't have to, we knew.
All right, well said. Dave Keon, an integral part of the Maple Leafs here in 1967, and they have a 1-0 lead after a period against the Blackhawks at the Gardens. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
The Leafs are leading 1-0 on Peter Stamkowski's 7th goal of the year, unassisted. You saw as part of the videotape highlights in the first period. It came at 1:52. Well, now we've started the second period now. 1-0 the score in favor of the Leafs. That's Pierre Palat, number 2. Jarrett is 20. Stan Mikita, 21. Doug Mones. Here's Larry Hillman of the Leafs trying to get his shot. Warham broke his stick, and he picks it up. It's Warham getting a chance over the line. It wasn't the stick that broke. It was just some of the tape came off the end of the blade. It goes back into the Hawks zone. It's touched there by Jarrett, and it'll be called back for icing against the Maple Leafs. Brian?
And the Leafs are unbeaten in 9 games now. They won the first 3 under Punt Jimlack, who returned home from the hospital today. They won their last 6 under Clancy, winner tie that is. Chicago's had only 2 losses in their past 21 games, both to New York, so they're riding high, wide, and handsome. And King says to you, Punch, say hello to all of us from Maple Leaf Gardens and from all your fans across the country.
Incidentally, Punch, the Leafs outshot Chicago in the first period, 14-7. But both teams had some glittering scoring opportunities, and Red Kelly hit the goal post in the closing seconds of the period. It's Keon coming up now, shooting the puck into the Hawk zone. The Geordie knocked it off the boards. Armstrong kept it in, took his shot. Keon after it, cruising in the corner. Tried to center it. Jarrett covered by Armstrong, and Moan flipped it off the boards. Armstrong after it. Conacher tried to dig it out, and it's Warham hitting the back of the net. Jarrett to Moan, stopped by Hillman again. Here's a chance for Keon. Behind the net, he's pushed by Jarrett. Conacher goes after it with Palat. Keon picks it up. Right in front of Armstrong. And point-blank shot was stopped. Conacher let one go, and that hit a leg. Warham gets it up to Moans. Moans at center ice. to Warham at the Leaf blue line. Shot it over for Makita, and it was Conacher to Marcel Pronovo, number 3. He's going with Conacher. Over the line to Conacher, closing in a shot, and the Geordie stopped it. Conacher is knocked down. Palat to Warham. Makita on his right. Flipped over for Moans, number 11. Moans centered it. Marcel Pronovo has it. Just gets rid of it to center right. And they're starting off where they left off in the first period. There hasn't been a whistle. And here comes Hillman coming up. A pass to Kelly. Up over the line. There's a shot. He just missed the target. The Hoblitz centered it. Here's Kelly in alone. He shoots. Stopped by Palat, at least Van Imp, who got a piece of it. And it moans to Nestorenko. Over the line to Mose, it's offside, and the referee is Vern Buffy. Matt Pavlich and Claude Bouchard are the two lines.
Well, you're right. They're keeping up this pace we saw in the first period. All eyes, of course, on the first period on Bobby Hull, but the Leafs did a very good job of bottling up Hull. They hit him with some solid body checks to slow him down. Stemkowski started it off.
And we might mention, Brian, that the Simmer was hit on the head by Dennis Howell seemed to fall backwards, and he hasn't returned to the lineup yet since that time. He didn't appear to be hurt too badly. Ed Van Imp, number 2, coming up now for the Hawks. A pass up to Nestorenko at center. He shot it out of the board. Sawchuk shot it into the crowd when he tried to scoop it the first time and it missed. Here comes Stemkowski now, Brian.
Well, King Clancy is still optimistic about grabbing second place in the final standings, 4 points behind the Rangers with a game in hand. The Leafs have 3 games left against New York. Second place means, of course, that the club that gets there first gets the extra home game in the semifinal series, and the home opener means also $500 more per player than third place.
From the face-off, it goes to Pat Stapleton, number 12, into his own zone for Van Imp. Off the board, stopped by Papin, who wrapped it to the other side. Ken Hodge to Van Imp. Back to Stapleton, number 12. To Bill Hay, stopped by Hillman on the first try. Then he's checked. Hay coming down with Dennis Howell over the line. Shot it high, caught by Sawchuk. Left it there for Stemkowski to Papin. Long pass to Cooper. Over the line. There's his shot, and the Geordie stopped that. Hodge, right on the Stemkowski stick. He's getting set. The shot. The rebound, the pass to Stemkowski. Oh! Set by Van Imp before he could shoot it in the net. Play is called.
Well, that Van Imp has saved 2 sure goals for the Chicago Blackhawks, and we're going to look at this one back as the loose puck comes in front. There it is, loose, and Van Imp stops Stemkowski as he's in close, and moments before that, he stopped Red Kelly by knocking a high shot down. So Van Imp has saved 2 sure goals in the last couple of minutes.
2 minutes for hold. Time 3:25.
It's Makita. And from the face-off, the Hoblitz shot stopped by Hay. Races after it. Horton goes back to get it. Makita is replaced by Nestorenko. So the Leafs have Keon, Armstrong, Pulford, the Hoblitz, and Horton. Keon comes to center, shot it off the boards. Hay cleared it but not out. Horton fanned on it, and Nestorenko comes back, and he was stopped. Bill Hay shooting it back into the Chicago zone. Jarrett shot it into the Leaf bench. 15:59 remaining in the second period. 1-0 for the Maple Leafs. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. From the face-off, Hay lost it, but Palat covers up, shooting it down the ice. Ice is very fast tonight, complementing the two teams are taking advantage of it. It's Tim Horton, number 7. Leafs with a man advantage. We'll have for the next minute and 7 seconds Mike Walton. To Horton, who takes his shot into the corner off an arm. Nestorenko picks it up, cleared it around to Hay, and Hay shoots it down the ice. Walton to Ellis. Ellis dumped by Nestorenko. Mike Walton now winds up at his own blue line. Coming up the center. Here's his shot. A hard drive to Doherty. Steered it into the corner. Walton after it. Kelly picks it up. Cleared it onto the board. Horton moves up. Horton races after it. Behind the net with Jarrett. Jarrett gets his skate on it. Drags it along the board. Walton tried to get loose, and Nesterenko knocks it down the ice, and Ellis goes back for it. Ellis coming back with Mahovlich on his left and Kelly on the right. Over the line, and Talat breaks it up. Talat fell, but gets it ahead to Bobby Hull. A stable in the clearance. Bobby Hull shoots. Oh, and Sawchuk got a piece of that one. Walton off the boards to Mahovlich. Up to Kelly. Back to Walton. There's his shot, and Doherty just got his glove on that. It's Mahovlich racing after it. Centered it right in front. Kelly goes after it. Esposito behind the net. Pat Stapleton. Stopped by Kelly. Kelly is stopped there by Stapleton, and play is called. On the face-off, it comes back to Stanley, flipped into the corner. Pappen after it. Pappen is given a jolt. Fulford centered it. Vaughn moves up. There's his shot, wide of the corner. Hodge gets the rebound. Down the right side he goes for Chicago. Number 14 over here to Bobby Hull. Hull is covered by Baum. There's going to be a penalty there to the Leafs player for holding.
No question or no secret that Bobby Hull is a prime target out there tonight. After all, he scored 33 goals in his last 32 games. He has 44 for the season, and he has 14 games left in which to score 11 goals to break his own single-season record of 54.
Well, I think the officials keep an eye on it, because if he can't be checked fairly, then they deserve to be in the penalty box. Here's a chance for Bobby Hull. A shot hit Larry Hillman, and Keon cleared it off Talat out over the line. Sam Mikita's 21, Kenny Warham 17, Doug Moen's 11, Bobby Hull is 9, Pierre Palat number 3. Keon gets the puck down the ice. He's number 14, Armstrong's 10, Marcel Pronovo number 3, and Larry Hillman number 2. Hawks with a man advantage. 6 men to 5. The Leafs lead in the hockey game 1-0. Warham shots the puck into the corner. It bounces off the boards right in front of the net. Oh, and Warham just seemed to wait too long, and he'd gone too far, and he missed the target.
Well, that's the second time Warham's missed a goal. He almost sneaked one in the first period. And listening to Will Cude talk about Dave Keon's play between periods, I think he's been most effective forechecking tonight, Bill. I don't think he's played as strong a forechecking game all season as he has here so far.
And as he mentioned himself personally, that he likes to kill penalties. And he's out there. Goes back to Bobby Hull over here to Pat Stapleton, number 12. Stapleton off Keon to Warham to Bobby Hull to Warham again. He shot it too hard, and Moens had to duck out of the way. Armstrong takes a long shot that bounced. The Jordy was way out on that one. Had no difficulty handling it. Stapleton to Moens, number 11, coming up at center. Up over the Leafs line. Got it around behind the net. Marcel Pronovo for Keon. Stopped by Stan Mikita. Then Marcel Pronovo took it away from him and shot it out to center ice. Stapleton to Warham. And Marcel Pronovo golfs it down the ice. 34 seconds left in the penalty to Baum. Leafs changing. Fulford Ellis. Here comes Hull over on the right side to Warham. Tried to get it back. Bobby Fulford gets it out over the line. Bobby Hull has it there. Checked by Fulford. He's going to get loose. Esposito comes back to Warham. Back to Esposito behind the net. Tried to center it. Hit Horton. Warham to Esposito. Shot it by Ken Hodge and Stapleton down the ice. Bond is on the ice. So the teams are at full strength. Fulford to Ellis. Ellis for Fulford. Here's a chance for Conacher. Conacher races after it. Stapleton hit him on the skate after he checked him, and Stapleton then recovers to Dennis Hull. Here he comes at center, a long shot. Sawchuk caught it on the first bounce. Fulford off the glass, and it went caroming into the rail seat. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. 11 minutes, 8 seconds remaining in the second period. 1-0 for the Maple Leafs. Number 8 is Bill Hay for the Hawks. Number 14, Kenny Hodge. Number 10, Dennis Ho. Pierre Pilatus 3, Doug Jarrett, number 20. Simkowski, Shack, and Pappen for the Maple Leafs. It's Pappen. Up at center, number 18. Over the line. Covered by Jarrett. Shack took it away from Dennis Hall, then lost it to Hodge. It's kept in. Hillman lets the shot go. Caught by DeJordy to Ken Hodge. Hodge up here to Dennis Hall. Stopped by Hillman. Then Stamkowski for Shack, and he's closing in, but it's outside. 1-0 for the Maple Leafs. Stamkowski unassisted at 1:52 of the first period, the only scoring play so far. Palat to Jarrett. Up to Bill Hay to Dennis Hull. Ron Ellis got back to cover his check, then he fell. Mike Walton up at center to Mahavlich. Shot it through. Walton went for a spin. Ellis knocked it behind the net into the corner. Mahavlich after it. Back to Ellis. Ellis trying to center it. He did. Walton in front of the net was covered by Hay, and it's back for Jarrett. Over the line for Chicago. A pass to Dennis Hall. He rolled it, and Sawchuk stopped it. Ellis fell. Horton comes back with Mahavlich and Walton. Over the line. Horton tried to go through. Jarrett hurt himself. Gets up on his skate though, and he's pretty tough. Goes down the ice. Nestorenko to touch it, but he didn't. Horton did, so play will go right on. A nice try by Tim Horton. Now then Mahavlich. Trying to get down the right wing. Ellis flips it over the line. It's shot out by Van Imp to Hay, number 8. Back to Van Imp. His pass stopped by Baugh. Bob and Walton going down together. Walton takes the pass, closing in. There's a shot. Oh, what a great save. Conacher after the rebound, and that was stopped by Stapleton, who cleared it around to Nestorenko. Up at center, there's Vaughn again, knocking it back to the Chicago defense. Pat Stapleton to Bobby Howes out there. Takes a long shot, caught by Sawchuk. Off the boards for Armstrong. He just shot it out, Van Imp. Right on the Armstrong stick for Keon. He let it go. Stapleton will touch it, and that will be icing called against the Maple Leafs. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Face-off will be in the Leaf zone to the right. That's Phil Esposito, number 7. Bobby Howe, and Lou Angotti gets up for the first time in the game, number 6, on the right wing. Leafs lead 1-0. The puck is loose. It's right in front. Oh, and Hillman just got his stick in the way of that pass. Otherwise, Bobby Howe was in the clear. Keon at center. Over the line. Stopped there by Matt Ravlich. Ravlich to Angotti. Conacher stepped into him. Cronenberg then to Keon. Over for Armstrong. Back for Keon. Closing in on goal. A shot. The rebound. Ed Van Imp. Off the board. Over Hillman's head and down the ice it goes. To the red line. It's over and icing is called. 7:38 remaining in the second period. And from the face-off, it's Kenny Warham, number 17. For Ravlich. Van Imp and Stamkowski bump together. Warham up at center. Gets it over the line, and it's Pappen going back for it, number 18. To Alan Stanley, too far. Doug Moen. Back to Ravlich. His shot is wide. Nikita centers it out in front. Here's Van Imp, a shot. Sawchuk got it, and he holds it for a face-off, and there was one that he caught on his shoulder.
Well, I mentioned the Bentleys a moment ago. They scored 58 goals between them in 42 and 43. Henri Richard got 19 goals in 55-56. His brother, the Rocket, had 38, so their total was 57. The best year the Cullen brothers had was in 57-58. Brian with 20, Barry with 16. A lot of people forget that Gordie Howe had a brother in the NHL for one season. Gordie scored 43 goals for the Red Wings in 50-51. His brother Vic played a few games with the Rangers, scored 1 goal, so their combined total was 44.
Face-off is in the lead zone to the right. Warham back to Jarrett. He broke his stick. Warham right in front of Moles. A shot. He's shot wide. Back from Mahavlich, Kelly, and Ellis. Mahavlich over the line. There's the shot, and Majority caught it. Drops it. Play is called as he held it long enough for a face-off. 6 minutes, 54 seconds remaining in the second period, Brian.
Well, that was a great race up the wing with Mahavlich outlegging Makita and getting one of those hard shots away from the corner that DeJordy had to be very quick on. Makita has 82 points. He needs 16 more in 14 games to break Bobby Hull's season total point mark of 97.
Face-off will be in the Chicago zone, and there it is. And from the draw, Pierre Pilote behind the net to Doug Jarrett. Jarrett ahead to Dennis Hull, to Bill Hay, number 8. Up over the leaf line. He was given a partial body check by Mahavlich. It just seemed to get him off stride. Mahavlich gets it out over the blue line to center. Doug Jarrett. To Hay for Nestorenko, and it goes into the corner. Mahavlich back for it for Ellis. He's propped in against the board, and the checking is getting a bit close.
Terry Sawchuk got his 99th career shutout the other day, so the next one he picks up will be number 100. There's a good look at the veteran goaltender who has trouble tying his own ties, Bill, because of that operation he had a few years ago for bone chips removed from the elbow. So what he does, he gets his wife to tie 2 or 3 ties, and then he just loosens them and slips them off over his head and puts them on the same way, and it saves a lot of time and effort.
Stan Makita with Mones and Warham, Pilote and Jarrett all inside the Leaf blue line. 1-0 the score in favor of the Maple Leafs. Back to Mones' shot. Sawchuk stopped that. Martin covered by Makita. Makita digs it out, centered it, but he centered it too hard, and he shot it all the way down the ice. That's Jarrett back for it, number 20. To Pilote. Pilote is checked by Pulford. His shot is right on, a weak one. Shot by the Hawks down the ice. Stopped by Horton at center to Pulford, over to Bob Bond, who moves up. His long shot, DeJordy caught it. To Mones. Cleared into the corner. Pilote then to Jarrett. Up at center, a pass for Warm. He just barely gets through. Stemkowski is covered. Pulford is checked by Makita. Pulford goes after it again and gets it. To Stemkowski. Over to Papin. Papin over the blue line. Trying to close in. He falls. Pulford tried to get to it. Bob Bond moves up. Makita cleared it but not out. Stemkowski shot it to the far wing. Pilote then hits Makita. Makita with Warham and Mones. Makita shoots one, and wow, that one went high into the end blue.
Well, this is Canadian Education Week. Education is the gateway to progress. Canada has educational opportunities for everyone. There is no need to be unschooled in Canada today or in the future. This country needs many skills. Make sure one of them is yours.
5 minutes and 1 second remaining in this second period. Out of town score. It's all tied up now. 3-3. New York 3, Boston 3. Outside at the Leaf blue line. Stapleton letting his shot go, but not before Luan Gotti had crossed the blue line in advance of the shot.
Another interesting game being played tonight. West Point leading Royal Military College 3-0 in the second period, Bill. That game's been a traditional rivalry for many, many years.
From the face-off, played back into the Hawk defense. Stapleton to Esposito, and Hillman just shoots it down the ice. Stapleton goes back for it. 4:42 remaining in this second period. 1-0 for the Maple Leafs. Stapleton, stopped by Armstrong, a pass for Conacher. He and Van Imp bumped together. And God, he nearly put it in his own net. Bobby Hull, unable to get away. Van Imp to Angotti. Up at center. Flips it over the line. Marcel Pronovo. Well, Esposito stick. He shoots. Sawchuk made the save. The rebound. Conacher steps into Bobby Hull. Hillman and Hull. Speared around on the board. The shot by Stapleton is wide. Marcel Pronovo for Brian Conacher, and he goes to the boards, and they hold it for a face-off. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Hey, with Dennis Hull and Nestorenko, the shot is weak and wide. Horton got it into the crowd, and they'll do it for a face-off now in the lead zone to the right of Sawchuk. That's Bill Hay, number 8 for the Hawks, along with Nestorenko, number 15. Dennis Hull is 10. Matt Ravlich, number 5, and Pierre Pilote, the captain, number 3. Ellis, 8, Kelly, 4, Mahavlich, 27. Stanley's 26, and Horton, number 7. Cleared by Kelly down the ice. Stopped by Ravlich at center. Turns. Checked by Kelly. Kelly right on to Bill Hay's stick. Shot right to Kelly again outside the blue line. Kelly shoots it back into the Chicago zone, and it's Pierre Pilote, number 3, going behind the net. Watched by Ellis, number 8. A pass goes the length of the ice, intended for Bill Hay, number 8, and it's Horton back to touch it, and of course that is icing. After the very fast and furious first period, and starting up the same in the second, the teams have started to slow down a little bit. Ellis for Mahavlich, back to Ellis. His backhand was stopped partially by Nestorenko, and Ravlich feeds Nestorenko. He lost it to Horton, who flips it at center ice. Pierre Pilote just gets rid of it at center. Stanley tipping it high. Ravlich to Pierre Pilote. Pilote over to Nestorenko. Back for Dennis Hull, breaking through. Nestorenko gets it back to the blue line to Ravlich. Took his shot. Stanley stopped it to Mahavlich. Mahavlich, a long shot. That's wide. Mahavlich after the rebound. Back to Ellis. And he tried to set Kelly up. Ellis is covered. Kelly keeps it in. Ellis shot it right across in front, and it goes to Nestorenko. Up here to Dennis Hull. Over the blue line. There's his shot. Sawchuk caught it. To Alan Stanley. Stanley, a long pass for Mahavlich. With Walton. Mahavlich shoots one right on. And Doherty stops it. Walton moves in, rolled it in front, and Stapleton covers up. Stapleton coming back to Nestorenko. To the Leaf line. Stopped by Walton. Walton comes back for the Leafs. Over the line. Passed it back, and there was nobody there. Sam Makita at center. Over the line. Tried to go through, and it's Walton turning again for the Leafs. Over the blue line. Left it for Papin, and Papin overskated it. Goes back into the Leaf zone, and Larry Hillman came over to cover up. Hillman to Marcel Pronovo. Back to Hillman, number 2. Coming out. A pass intended for Pulford, and Stapleton just tipped at the last second. Warham to Moan. And Warham took the pass. Warham centered it right in front, and Moan missed it.
Last minute of play.
Happened to Pulford. Pulford takes his shot high. Happened. Couldn't control it, and Doug Moans now to Stapleton. Up to the Leaf line. He's checked. Makita gets it back to Van Imp. Over here to Moan. Moan's back for Makita. Tipped into the Leaf zone, and Pulford goes back for it. Pulford with Keon. A long pass for Keon down the ice. He races after it. He's offside. From one zone to the other. So the face-off will be inside the Leaf blue line. at the rim of the circle. Referee is Vern Buffy. The linesmen are Matt Pavlich and Claude Bouchard. 24 seconds remaining in the second period. Esposito facing off with Keon. It goes to Marcel Pronovo. Fails to get it out. Palat then for Angotti. Marcel Pronovo took him to the board. A jam for another face-off, and we have 12 seconds. Bobby Hull is out there, number 9. Esposito, Angotti, Palat, and Jarrett. Facing off in the lead zone to the right of Terry Sawchuk. Fox playing every man up. From the face-off, Pronovo cleared it out this time, and Jarrett for Palat with 7 seconds, covered by Conacher. Conacher is given a jolt. Pronovo then gets a skate on it. We have 2 seconds left. Now the face-off will be outside the Leaf blue line. From the draw, back to Pronovo. He waits, and there goes the bell, and the period ends. And so the score at the end of the second period, Toronto Maple Leafs 1, Chicago Blackhawks nothing. In a moment, our second intermission.
Marcel Pronovo and Larry Hillman are working together as a defense tandem for Punch Imlach and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and later on in the Stanley Cup final, they will go the full Stanley Cup playoff year without giving up a single even-strength goal against. The two of you obviously knew each other quite well, Marcel, because you had teamed together in Detroit.
Well, Larry played junior hockey with Windsor the same as I did, and those are the days of sponsorship. So in the playoffs, Larry come up and played with us in Detroit. I don't remember exactly which year, but it was early 50s, and he was part of a cup-winning team.
Now, neither of you would be known, I guess, as the end-to-end rusher going to win the Bobby Orr Trophy.
I was before.
But as in 1967, it's take care of this end of the rink, and if it's 0-0, we've done our job.
Yes, that's for sure.
What did Larry Hillman bring as a defenseman?
Larry played the power play too. He had a tremendous shot from the point, and what Larry did was, I was aware where he was at all times, and he bailed me out just like I bailed him out. We played together. You know, sometimes you see two defensemen that, you know, have problems with one another because they don't really
communicate.
But Larry and I, we knew where one another was.
And you know, you talk about chemistry and team chemistry, and sometimes on a team it becomes two individuals, and you think of Gretzky and Curry, and you think of offensive stars like Bossy and Trottier. Well, two defensemen who played together for a great length of time, you think of Stanley and Horton, and people like that know where each other is and can anticipate and almost think together.
Yeah, well, you know where I learned that? When I played with Bob Golden. He used to be an offensive defenseman, but he had gone back to defensive, and he his best shot blocker, and he is the one with Leo Reese that did my early education, because we didn't have the coaching in those days. Mm-hmm. We had the gate opener. Because we learned more from the players than we did from the coaches. And Leo Reese and Bob Golden had, I thank them all still today, because they were the first one to educate me as far as anticipation, diagnosis of the play, how deep is the play. What is in front of you is not going to hurt you, it's what's coming behind.
All right. Well, some sound words for any defenseman. Learn where you are, learn to play with a teammate, and have some chemistry and think alike. And so Larry Hillman and Marcel Pronovo doing just that. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Ward Cornell is standing by with some special intermission features, which includes the soon-to-be St. Louis Blues of expansion.
This week's Hockey Night in Canada expansion report takes us to St. Louis.
This is St. Louis, called the Gateway to the West, home of a magnificent art museum in Forest Park, and home of the city's patron saint, St. Louis himself. It mixes the old with the new. This weird building, for instance, is a planetarium, and also houses a world-famous zoo where the animals are enclosed, but in such a way as to make their surroundings appear natural. Hockey games have been played for years in St. Louis, including a brief excursion into the NHL during the 1930s, and in spite of this rather rude reaction, is considered a good sports town. It's also the home of Stan Musial, one of the greatest names in any sport. This is the old arena, next year to be home to the St. Louis Blues. One of the owners, Sid Solomon, talks about the prospects.
Well, we're very optimistic here in St. Louis. In the past, when St. Louis had a team in the American Hockey League back in the 1950s, they averaged at 1 year over 8,000 people a game. Today in the Central Pro League, while the attendance is less than this, the brand of hockey, of course, being comparable, but to the people in St. Louis, American League was a higher brand of hockey, and of course, because of this, they drew better. With the coming of the National Hockey League, though, we have every indication that we will average at least 10,000 people a game, and we are looking for our season tickets to exceed 5,000 on a season ticket crowd.
St. Louis is a good sports town. Major League Baseball, played last season in this new Busch Stadium, drew over 1 million fans. The football Cardinals had similar success, drawing 50,000 people to every game, but the fans demand Major League action in pleasant surroundings. Frank Lieber, the business manager, explains plans for improving the old arena.
We're going to get into the renovation of the arena proper from front to back. By that I mean the parking area, relight the parking facilities. We're going to paint the building from top to toe, install a new $61,000 score clock. The seats that I'm sitting on here will be theater-type seats that we're going to put into the arena in the parquet section. The entire rink will be enclosed in percolite glass or its equivalent. We're going to have a stadium club, and generally we intend to facelift this entire building from stem to stern.
When the facelifting is finished, the building will seat 15,000 comfortably, and there'll be convenient parking for 4,000 cars. Now, about tickets, Gus Kyle tells us what the club has been doing to sell hockey in St. Louis.
Well, just about everything, really. We have been showing the fine Stanley Cup film of last year to all the service groups, church organizations, and generally we want everybody in the vicinity and the area of St. Louis to see this very fine film.
And the response to the film has been good?
It sure has. It's a tremendous film, and the response has simply been terrific.
What plans does the St. Louis Club have specifically to try and interest people in season ticket holders?
Well, we started a campaign on January the 25th, and prior to our opening of this campaign, the interest was simply fabulous. People had taken time out of their daily chores to come up and visit us here at the arena, where we were able to take them out and show them the exact seat location. Many people have phoned in, and the reception generally has simply been tremendous.
So renovations to the arena are underway, tickets are on the move, and the organization is ready. To help sell the game in the St. Louis area, the club hired a familiar hockey figure as its general manager, Lynn Patrick.
You actually broke into the NHL in this very arena, did you not?
That is right, in 1934, when St. Louis had a team in the National Hockey League. The Ottawa franchise moved down here and were known as the St. Louis Eagles. At that time, I might add that hockey was very popular in St. Louis. They played the capacity houses for the early season games, but the team was not successful in the one-loss column, and finally the attendance fell off, and the team disbanded after 1 year. At that time, quite a few of the teams in the National Hockey League were having difficulties drawing. It was right after the Depression, and as a matter of fact, the Montreal Maroons folded for the same reason. They didn't have the attendance in Montreal.
So therefore you are in effect coming home when you're in St. Louis?
Well, not exactly. I played the game. I played one season here, and I wasn't too familiar with St. Louis. I did coach in New Haven when St. Louis were in the American Hockey League. For 2 years, I came in here with the New Haven Ramblers. I've always thought St. Louis is a great hockey town. I'm very happy to be here, and very hopeful that we'll have a successful run.
The St. Louis area has a population of some 2.5 million people, and if the club can provide exciting Major League hockey, the St. Louis Blues should have no problems in drawing a fair percentage of those people into the arena to watch the National Hockey League next season.
In a moment, we'll return to Bill Hewitt, Brian McFarland, and a play-by-play of the third period.
Maple Leafs lead 1-0 after 2 periods of play. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
All set to start now, the final period. And from the face-off, it goes back into the Chicago zone. Stopped by Keon. Keon for Conacher. Conacher trying to get in spot. He did. Took his shot. And stopped by to Jordy. Warham is hit by Conacher and hard, and he goes down the ice. Hillman back for it. And they're starting to hit right off the bat again in this final period. Ronovo cleared it to the blue line. Armstrong then gets it up to Keon. Over the Chicago blue line, Keon is ridden off by Moan. Conacher steals the puck for Keon, too hard. Hillman moves up with a backhand for Keon, gets by him. Conacher again for Keon. Right in front there for a cheeky score! Goal number 250 of Armstrong's career. And great forechecking by Conacher and Keon made it all possible. Watch Conacher come in, keep it over to Keon. Here's a beautiful pass to Armstrong, goal number 250. And Army better keep that one as a souvenir. Well, that was, as you say, all Keon and Conacher, and he had the man in front.
George Armstrong is 7th of the year and is 250.
Scored by number 10, Armstrong. 5th, number 14, Keon, and number 22, Conacher. The time, 50 seconds.
Here's a chance for the Hawks. A shot. Sachak got it and holds it out. We're waiting for the official time, and it was 50 seconds. Armstrong from Keon and Conacher. For George Armstrong, his 7th, as Brian mentioned, his 250th. His career. From the face-off, Ellis shoots the puck out and down the ice. It's 2-0 now for the Maple Leafs. Van Imp to Esposito. At the blue line, up at center. Over the line, Esposito closing in, gets his shot, and Sachak stops it. Boyton for Kelly. For Mahavlich is in the clear to the top side. About 2 feet, Brian.
Well, you've got to give this Leaf team a great deal of credit for the forechecking they've displayed.
Armstrong's goal is the 250th of his NHL career.
There's the announcement for Armstrong's 250th, a milestone for the Leaf captain. And Keon and Conacher have been very strong in the forechecking department tonight, particularly Keon. We mentioned it earlier.
The puck is shot back into the Chicago zone. DeJordy missed it. Here's a chance for Pappen. He tried to hit Stamkowski. Esposito was there. Hodge then gives it to Van Imp. Van Imp coming up the center, stopped by Hillman. Fulford was checked by Hodge. He took a long shot. Sachak caught it and gives it to Hillman. To Pappen, to Stamkowski, who was hit. Comes over here to Fulford. To Hillman. To Stamkowski. Shot it into the Chicago zone. It ends up behind the net. Stapleton picks it up. Stamkowski runs into Stapleton. Esposito comes back for Chicago. Goes over the line. Pappen tried to shoot it out. Marcel Konovo around on the boards for Fulford. Too hard. Hodge kept it in. Hit Fulford, and Fulford comes back. Fulford going right into Lord. He can score!
Well, Van Imp, who played a very strong game, let Fulford go around him on that one. Now watch Fulford at 20 get the puck here. Now Van Imp is going back. Sadiq right through his legs. A strong shot by DeJordy. And it's very quickly a 3-0 hockey game.
Toronto goal scored by number 20, Fulford, unassisted. The time, 2:31.
2:31, Fulford unassisted. Toronto Maple Leafs leading 3-0. Keon goes after the puck in the Chicago zone. Palat fails to get it out. He and Conacher bump together. Keon goes into the board. Conacher and Palat still holding on. Finally, they're separated. And there's going to be penalties here.
I don't know what kind of a hold they had on each other, but certainly Conacher is a big, strapping youngster with lots of strength. And Palat, of course, doesn't back down from anybody, and the two of them were really trying to show brute force to dislodge the other one. Maybe put him on his back.
Teams will be even at 5-a-side. Keon with Armstrong, Horton, and Stanley.
Chicago penalty to number 3, Palat. 2 minutes for holding. Toronto penalty to number 22, Conacher. 2 minutes for high sticking. The time, 2:48.
2:48, holding the Palat and high sticking to Conacher. Keon facing off with Bill Hay, Nestorenko, and Stapleton along with Van Imp. Keon, Stanley, Armstrong, and Horton. Horton goes back for it, knocked it off the boards to Armstrong. Played back to Horton. Horton over to Armstrong. He was checked by Stapleton. Horton goes back. To Stanley. Stanley taking his time. For Armstrong on the right wing with Keon. Shot it over the line. Keon goes after it. Gets it. Centered it. Armstrong took a shot. And that was stopped by DeJourny. Back for Nestorenko over the line. Right on to Armstrong's stick, who is skating miles. To Keon. Keon gets over the line. And it covers them. Takes them out of the play. Hay feeds Nestorenko. Up at center. Over the line. Pass. Stanley breaks it up and feeds it to Mike Walton. Walton goes down the ice. Goes around Van Imp. Van Imp stuck his knee out, and there's going to be a penalty here to Chicago's Ed Van Imp.
Well, Mike Walton, who has a lot of moves for a rookie, was sent sprawling by Ed Van Imp, so the Blackhawks will be 2 men short. Walton tried to go around Van Imp, was sent sliding along the ice and into the boards.
Toronto Maple Leafs 3, Chicago Blackhawks nothing.
Chicago penalty to number 2, Van Imp. 2 minutes for cross-checking. The time, 4:06.
Well, Davy Keon has certainly played a remarkable hockey game tonight. And this resurgence of the Toronto Maple Leafs after that horrendous 10-game losing streak started here against Chicago in that 4-4 tie.
That's right.
Not so long ago, Bill.
And that was a spectacular hockey game. On the face-off, out over the blue line, the Leafs have a man advantage, 5 men to 4. Walton to Kelly, going in with Mahavlich. Kelly shot it around on the boards. Mahavlich waiting, coming from the side, back to Tillman, over to Walton. He shoots, and it's saved by DeJourny. Mahavlich shot it down the ice. Hillman goes back. Hillman coming down the ice. A pass to Mike Walton, number 16. To Mahavlich. Over to Kelly, going in with Walton. Right in front of him, he shoots. Oh, DeJourny made the save. Makita gets it out at center ice, so now the teams are, with the Leafs at full strength, and the Hawks 1 man short. Ravlich moving up, over the line, trying to get his shot, cleared it across the goal mouth. Conacher up to Mahavlich, going in with Walton, 1 man back. Mahavlich shoots. Oh, what a great save by DeJourny on that hot drive. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. From the face-off, here for lot number 3, over to Pat Stapleton. Up for Bobby Hull. Over for Esposito, off his stick, and it's offside. He dragged the puck in behind him, and that, of course, is offside.
Bill, a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that Makita and Hull have never been lower than 5th in the scoring the past 5 years, and in the Chicago yearbook it says they're the only 2 players to finish that strongly, but we forgot all about Gordie Howe, who has finished right up there year after year.
That's right. A long bouncing shot just went by Sawchuk and hopped high, but it was off the target. Frank Mahovlich to center. He slips one in, goes after it himself, first man in, and just failed to center it. Bobby Hull winding up. To Pierre Pilat, to Esposito. At center ice, checked by Mahovlich. Mahovlich just gets rid of it to center ice. The puck is in the lead zone. Esposito trying to go around Horton. He's knocked down. Hooker coming back. And now then Chicago's at full swing. Hooker over the line. Getting ready to goal. And he was finally hit by Jarrett and knocked down. And Gotti missed the check from Stemkowski. Up he comes to center. Back to Esposito. Bobby Hull moved in. Stanley just got a piece of it. Stemkowski to Papin. The head for Shack. And it's offside.
Well, Billy Ray put Angotti out there to see if he could get some zip in that Chicago attack. They appear to be just lagging a bit. And, of course, Eddie Shack counters that with some fast moves of his own for the Leafs.
And, Brian, we can point out that Shack is now playing on the left wing, replacing Fulford with Stemkowski and Papin.
You only notice that on the face-off, though, Bill, because when he's in action, you can't tell where he's playing.
That's right. From the face-off, it's Stemkowski losing it. Man imp to Stapleton to Esposito. Stopped by Stemkowski, who backhands it into the Chicago zone. Jack went after it. Van Imp clearing it off the leg. Stemkowski keeps it in. Bobby Hull winds up. Gets away from Stemkowski. Over to Angotti. They're over the line. Angotti waits. Then takes his shot. Sawchuk got it on the iron. Vaughn and Esposito shoving at one another.
We're going to watch it on the instant replay as Terry Sawchuk comes up with another good save here. And here it is coming in. Sawchuk gets it. They pile in front. Now let's look at the live action on the ice as Esposito and Bond were mixing it up there in back of the Leaf goal. Sawchuk stays well out of it, of course, and Bond moved in quickly to protect Sawchuk. The Leafs have been playing a fiery brand of hockey tonight.
And the way it's going, Brian, it wouldn't take too much for something to erupt the way they're going. Now we have a further score now from Montreal. LaRose has scored at 4:31. Montreal leads Detroit 5-0. Toronto Maple Leafs 3, Chicago no score, 12:45 remaining in the game. That's Esposito getting some tape off his stick. Referee Vern Buffy, number 1, ready to drop the puck. He does, and it goes to Mahovlich. Up to Ron Ellis. Over the blue line. Ellis tried to go by Stapleton. Kelly was cruising around. Stapleton tried to grab the puck. Kelly back to Hillman. Back for Kelly. It goes behind the net. Mahovlich. He's stopped by Van Imp. And got it checked by Kelly. Bobby Hull picks it up. Coming out. He's cut around the ball. Kelly is knocked down. Bobby Hull covered by Ellis. Larry Hillman flicks it in. Jordy tips it with his stick to Van Imp. Van Imp over to Stapleton. Up the center. Tips it over the line, and Gotti is way inside, and that's offside. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Conacher goes over to the Leaf bench to get a new 6-man.
Well, while we have a second, Bill, Mr. Sheldon from Ottawa writes in to remind us that, talking about Gordie Howe and how he's finished in the scoring race over the year, that during the past 17 seasons, the worst that Gordie Howe has finished is 6th in scoring, which is quite a record.
Really is. From the face-off, it's Horton over to Bond, out over the blue line. Dennis Howe ran into Bob Bond. Conacher hits it in. Going to be a delayed whistle here. Jarrett shoots it out. Conacher shoots it right back in again, right by the left wing. Kind of smiled at that one. It's Armstrong stealing the puck. There's his shot. Oh, to the right of the corner. Conacher to Keon. Right in front of this. Rico has it. For Dennis Hall to Bill Hay, number 8. He's checked by Bond. Then Ravlich moves up. Over to Dennis Hall. There's the shot. And that was shot by Sacha. Horton, number 7. To Armstrong. Out here to Keon. With Conacher. Off the board. Garrett picks it up. Right on the Keon's stick. Back for Bond. Broken up by Hay. Tried to break away. Dennis Howe after it. Closing in. There's the shot. He hit the side of the net. Sending it out in front. It comes out over the blue line. Conacher for Keon just failed to collect. Now it's Horton. To Keon. To Jim Papin. For Conacher, deflected down the ice. Conacher went for a slide. Hellman to Keon. To Pulford. Checked by Stapleton. Ravlich then to Nestorenko. Right on the Stankowski stick. Stankowski shoots one. That's deflected into the corner. Stankowski to Papin. He centered it. Pulford after. Papin takes his shot. Goes to the blue line and out. Papin and Stankowski race back for it. Over to Marcel Pronovo. Ahead to Pulford. Shoot it wide on the Chicago net. In behind the net it goes. Over then to Makita in the corner. To Stapleton. Over to Moon. Over the blue line. Takes his shot. Tuchuk caught it and held onto it. Dropped it behind the net to Pronovo to Hillman. Stopped by Makita. Hillman lost his stick, picked it up again, and Makita nearly went flying. Up there, Doug Moon. And Marcel Pronovo and Peter Stankowski bumped together. A pass for Pulford. To Stankowski. A long shot to Jordy. Stopped it. And they just cleared it at the last second out of the way.
Well, that was a close call there for DeJordy as Stankowski, who was tiring, comes up here and he takes that lob shot that is sometimes effective. And there it is, and boom, it gets away from DeJordy, and Pulford racing in. Couldn't quite get a shot on goal. I think it was a deflected shot that went high.
Well, if it hadn't have been, Brian, it was in the net because he could have had it. And that's what happens to all goalkeepers, and that's why they don't get too much sleep at night. Kelly covers Stapleton and shot into the lead zone, and Stanley goes back for it, number 26. Kelly takes his pass, but couldn't control it as it goes out to center. Stanley shooting it back in again. Stanley back. For Kelly, Stapleton breaks it up, keeps it in. Blackhawks are pressing the Maple Leafs at this point. It goes out to center right. Stapleton covered by Kelly, and then Van Imp to Doug Moon. Stopped by Ellis and knocked back at center. Shot into the Leaf zone, and it's Mahavlic's side. He left it there for Horton. Stopped by Stapleton. Here's a chance for Makita. Shot, and stopped by Saczek, but it was outside at the blue line. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Jarrett back in his own zone, number 20. Ravlich cleared it to the open corner. Armstrong is there to Keon, back to Hillman. Round behind the net, Conacher centered it. Picked off by Hodge, who gets it up to Esposito. Stopped by Armstrong. Out to Hillman. Bobby Hull picks it off. Number 9. Left it there for Garrett. Now then, Hillman moves up and wraps it into the boards in the Chicago zone. Ravlich will turn now for the Hawks. Here he comes. There's 4 of them. To Hodge. Hodge breaking through like the Bobby Hull. He shoots. Right shot. Goes Captain. Walton races after him. So does Tappan. Over the line. Tappan closing in. Covered by Garrett. Garrett in possession. Cleared it out over the line. Bobby Hull with it. Covered by Barnes. He took his shot and was stopped by Sawchuk. Ravlich keeps it in for Chicago and Esposito. Trying to get his shot. Horton into Shack. Getting Shack. To Horton. To Papin to Wolf. For Shack, and it was stopped at the blue line. Back comes Esposito with Bobby Hull. Esposito. Shot it wide. Kept in by the Hawks. Martin covers Esposito, and Mike Walton has it. Walton coming down the ice himself. Over the line to Ellis. Ellis shoots. He hits Stapleton. Mahavlich going right in. He shoots. Another shot. It's all around the net, and it's cleared down the ice by the Hawks. Over the line it goes. Bond touches it, and there is icing, and what action.
Well, Mike Walton was tired on that, and there goes the tired Bobby Hull to the bench. Boy, he's had a couple of real fine opportunities tonight, but Sawchuk going for that 100th shutout of his career, 25 of them against Chicago, has really been tough. Hull had 3 goals against New York Wednesday night as the Hawks won at 61, his 3rd hat trick of the season and his 20th since entering the NHL. The record is 26, held by Maurice Richard.
Toronto Maple Leafs lead 3-0. Dennis Hull, covered by Ellis. Kelly to Larry Hillman. Right on the Van Imp stick. A pass ahead for Dennis Hull. Larry Hillman had him covered. And Ron Ellis goes back. To Larry Hillman. Off the boards for Kelly. Just tipping it at center ice. Van Imp. Shooting it into the lead zone. Sawchuk to Marcel Pronovo to Larry Hillman. After Mahavlich. Mahavlich to Kelly. Over the line to Mahavlich. Back for Kelly, and it's knocked to the corner. Kelly goes after it with Stapleton. Kelly gets it loose. Tried to drag it with his feet. Ellis into Mahavlich. Mahavlich tried to center it. Goes behind the net. Hits the knocked it behind the goalkeeper, but somehow the Dirty held it out.
Well, let's take a look at that one again, because Mahavlich was flying all over the place. The Dirty's going to get a stiff neck trying to keep an eye on him from behind the goal. There it gets in under his leg, and the Dirty goes down as Stapleton moves in to cover up. Close call there for Chicago, as Mahavlich did some fancy work behind the cage.
4 minutes and 39 seconds remaining in the game. Toronto Maple Leafs 3, Chicago Blackhawks nothing. Keon, Conacher, and Shack, Stanley and Bond. Hay, Hull, Dennis Hull, that is. Eric Nestorenko, Matt Ravlich, and Ed Van Imp. Ravlich to Nestorenko. Back to Ravlich. To Nestorenko. Over the line, right to Shack as he came back to cover up. Cleared out to center ice. Keon races after Van Imp, gets it to Ravlich, to Nestorenko. Stanley breaks it up and shoots it back at center. Ravlich at the line with Dennis Hull, and it's offside. Out-of-town score from Montreal. The Red Wings have scored twice. Howe and McDonald. It's now 5-2. Back to Keon to Alan Stanley, number 26. Over to Bob Bond. For Eddie Shack. He cleared it in. A race for it. Stapleton gets to it first. Police were called for racing. 3:46 remaining in the game. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
And 11s play a part in this game. Stemkowski got his 7th goal, Conacher his 7th, and Pulford got his 11th goal. So they're the superstitions working again for the Leafs.
From the face-off, Bobby Hull, who's out there now with Nestorenko. It's cleared right onto Larry Hillman's stick for Keon. Into the Chicago zone for Keon. He's dragging the puck rather than take a shot. 12 seconds remaining. It goes behind the net. Now the fence. Here's the guard start counting. It's out over the blue line. Hillman shot it in, a delayed whistle. 3 seconds. 1. Bobby Hull goes to the goal. The game is over. And that's number 100 for Terry Sawchuk. And the Leafs are all on the ice congratulating Terry Sawchuk.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and here's the announcement.
Terry Sawchuk's 100th shutout in his NHL career.
And so the final score of tonight's game, Toronto Maple Leafs 3, the Chicago Blackhawks nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the 3 stars of tonight's game as selected by Foster Hewitt. The first star, Terry Sawchuk. The second star, Peter Stemkowski. And the third star, Tim Horton.
Well, Foster, nobody's going to argue with that first selection
Oh,
tonight.
no, that was outstanding, I think. But I think the Toronto Maple Leafs must have played one of their best games of the season. We've been saying that a few times. But tonight, I think they were letter perfect in their checking, and they were great on the attack, and they were getting great goalkeeping. I thought DeJordy played a very good game in goal for the Blackhawks. In fact, it was a goalkeeper's duel, I thought, for the first 2 periods, and then the Leafs broke out. But I thought Stemkowski was the man who set the pattern. He did most of his heavy work in the first period. He got that all-important first goal, and he set the plan for the whole attack. There were some great hockey players out there tonight. I thought Esposito played a very good game, and Pulford was outstanding. Armstrong came through with a great effort. In fact, you could pick a number of stars out there tonight. But I thought they had Bobby Hull lashed to the mast in that game tonight, so it was just one of those things where the Leafs overpowered the Hawks.
And your third star, Horton, was also outstanding, as was Keon. So
yes, he was really blocking at all times.
Well, thank you, Foster. In just a moment, we'll have the complete statistics of tonight's game and the scores from other games being played tonight.
So the 3 stars, once again, Sawchuk, Stemkowski, and Horton. And we couldn't let this opportunity go by because it's a record that's going to stand for a long time. Terry Sawchuk. Terry, congratulations.
Thank you. I didn't expect this. I don't know what to say. I'm just thrilled to death. The team played a wonderful game. I shouldn't have been even a star in this game. They played so wonderful, but it's something that I know that I've tried to get. I've never really thought about it till the last shutout I had. And it's just, I don't know what to say.
Terry, were you thinking about those last 3 minutes?
Yes, I was. Ward, I'll be honest with you. I was thinking more of the game up to about the last 5 minutes, and I thought, well, I got something going for me now, and then a couple of them just missed the post. They could have ruined it all, but I'm thankful that they didn't.
Were you worried that maybe perhaps that the fellows would start to play too cautiously to protect it for you?
That's what did happen, I think, for a while, and we got a little loose, but like little fellas like Davey and Davey Kano and George Armstrong and defensemen, they just checked their heart out. I know they did it for me.
Yeah, well, Terry, congratulations again. Wonderful moment for you.
Thank you very much.
How pleased you are.
The Leafs win it by a score of 3-0. Peter Stemkowski, George Armstrong, and Bob Pulford score the goals, but Terry Sawchuk registers shutout number 100. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Terry Sawchuk with his 100th career shutout. His first came January 15th, 1950, when Detroit beat Boston. His 50th came January 3rd, 1954. His 75th career shutout was against the Rangers as in a Red Wing uniform on the 12th of February, 1959, and now here is his 100th career shutout. Do you know how many you were playing defense for? Have you any idea?
I have no idea.
I'd say you had to be in about the 75 range anyway, Marcel.
I would say that, because the only time I really missed him was when he got traded to Boston.
Exactly.
Which was where he got sick and didn't play so many games in that year.
Now, he looked very relieved. Was this something that was playing on his mind? Is like Joe DiMaggio's consecutive game streak or 60 home runs that Roger Maris was chasing back in the 60s?
I think so, but he would never tell anybody because he kept all this inside. And that's where his problem came, because he kept too much of this inside. And if he let it out, and he might have felt better, he might have been able to cope. He wasn't able to adjust to different situations.
Now, later on in this 1967 year, there's a game in Chicago in the playoffs. John Bauer gets hurt, Terry Sawchuk comes on, and it may be one of the finest games in goal I think I have ever seen, that game in Chicago, after Bobby Hull wires one right off of his shoulder where we thought maybe he was dead. He comes back and is absolutely incredible.
You should have seen the bruise.
Oh, I can imagine.
You hadn't been a goaltender. But the one thing is that he probably didn't play that great, but he made the saves, and he knew that he had to make the saves. And when he knew that, there was none better. There was none better.
Was this the 67 year? I mean, you say that all of them are very special, but this is a group where expansion is coming. The league is going to change dramatically, and yet the over-the-hill gang is able to suck it up and say, once more, into the breach we go.
There were three things. Right? We heard that the Stanley Cup was going to go in Quebec Pavilion, and we wanted it in the Ontario Pavilion. Another thing was that as an old gang, like you say, we wanted to prove that none of us were finished, or, we were over the hill. And then, being centennial year, well, everybody knows that Canada, Toronto's an integral part of Canada, and we won it for Toronto.
Well, and it was a crowning moment, and it was one that people my age still relish and are hoping for something to come to make the next generation proud as well. Marcel, speaking of that, will you please stop scouting for the New Jersey Devils and get over here and help us out in Toronto a little bit? And now you've got 5 Stanley Cup rings as a player, and how many as a...
3 with Jersey. 1995, 2000, and
Why did we bother having you on this show? This is Leafs TV. I don't think we should have somebody doing that to us.
You should have me, because I show the way.
Exactly. Well, we're going to hire you. That's for we're going right out on the limb right now. Congratulations on that. Thank you ever so much for coming down and visiting with us today. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Marcel Pronovost, Hockey Hall of Fame member, and a key part of the Maple Leafs defense corps in 1967 as they go on to win the Stanley Cup, and a key part tonight of Terry Sawchuk's 100th career shutout. Hope you've enjoyed it. You've been watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.